Welcome, folks. I'm Gene Della Sala, president of Audioholics, and today we're here with
Hugo Rivera, vice president of marketing. How you doing today, Gene?
Doing awesome as always, Hugo. Thanks for asking.
Thank you. Well, I'll tell you what, we have a nice piece of equipment over here, and I would like you to tell our viewers, what is it?
Well, Marantz just sent us their brand new UD7007 Universal Blu-ray player.
What does that mean, the universal part?
Universal, in this case, it means that not only does it play your standard Blu-ray discs, but it also supports the old formats, the high-resolution DVD audio and SACD. And for guys that are really into audio like you and I are, man, this is the player to get if you're into two-channel audio. It'll do those formats, and we'll talk a little bit more about why it does those formats so well.
Excellent. What can you tell us about it? Tell me about the chassis, the outputs, Tell me a little bit more about it.
Sure. Let me give you an overview of the player. Like I said, it's the UD7007. The retail on it's $11.99, and this puts it right in the price range of the Oppo BDP 105, which in my opinion is the benchmark player on the market. And there's a lot of commonalities with the Oppo in this case. Both players use the MediaTek platform. MediaTek's a very stable Blu-ray platform. The Marantz player in this case uses all the internal processing from MediaTek, which is very good. They put their own firmware into it to do their own video tweaks and stuff like that. They also have what's called the HDAM. Marantz came up with the HDAM analog circuitry for the amplifier stage. So that's like their really high performance discrete analog output stages. It gives it a good sound quality, very low distortion. We've reviewed the PM11S3 integrated amp prior, and that thing just tested beautifully and had the HDAM analog outputs on it as well. Another thing that I like about this player is, a lot of the companies now are using the ESS DACs, and those are great. Like the top of the line ESS DACs that are using the Oppo are superb. But I am a big fan of the old PCM 1795s that these guys use. This is what Denon and Marantz used to use in their older receivers, and I'm telling you, these are some of the best sounding DACs in the industry. The technology doesn't change. I mean, we already do Perfect Red Book. We've been doing Perfect Red Book for 2 decades or more.
Right.
SACD, you name it. The DACs in this player are very high end, they're full dual differential, very low noise, very low distortion. And when you mate that with the HDAM circuitry, you're getting some really good audio experience here.
Excellent.
And the player has balanced outputs. It only has analog outputs for 2-channel. That's a little bit of a downside to it. So if you're trying to mate this with just say a 7-channel amplifier, you can't do that like you can with the Oppo.
Oh, I see.
So in this case, you do need a high-end preamp. And if you feed this thing balance into your high-end preamp, you're in for a treat.
It looks like it has very good construction as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. The housing is not that tinny feeling you get out of most Blu-ray players. This thing has got some weight to it. It weighs like 16 pounds.
Yeah.
The mechanism on the drive is really smooth. It's got almost like a felt covering on it. It's not just that cheap plastic that you get out of most of the players.
Right.
So build quality is very high end. It's got aluminum front on it. The remote control is easy to use. It's got dual HDMI outputs, so you could send one HDMI to a TV, another HDMI to your receiver.
That's nice.
And it's fully scalable to 1080p. Now, another downside that this doesn't have, which I don't really consider it a downside, I consider it more of a gimmick anyways, this doesn't do 4K upsampling. And you know what? 4K, it's not real 4K, so what the hell's the point of it?
Right.
I mean, you could do the 4K post-processing in your receiver if you really want to do that. If you've got a screen big enough to even benefit from it, and that's one consideration you have to worry about, is that this doesn't do 4K. It does 3D, but as you and I both know, 3D is what we would call the Transformers Age of Extinction.
Yeah, for sure.
Because nobody's doing 3D anymore in home theater.
That's a failed technology.
Yes.
That's the one that just never went up.
Right. So, I mean, this does support everything, and when Atmos starts hitting the scene, you'll be able to play your Atmos Blu-rays at, the 3 or 4 that come out. You'll be able to play them. But other than that, we did some listening tests the other night on our $50,000 Status Acoustics AT speakers, and we listened to Patricia Barber, Modern Cool, Cafe Blue. It just sounded amazing. I tried to do an instantaneous comparison with the Oppo. Impossible, because I don't have a preamp with 2 sets of analog balanced inputs. So I had to go by memory. I had to swap out the cables. But, I spent a couple hours listening, and Subjectively, I would say that this just had a very smooth bass response. I felt like the bass might have been a tad punchier and a little more bloom to it than you got in the Oppo, but the Oppo just had great resolution all around.
Right.
Both players, you know, you're flipping a coin into, when you get to this level of fidelity, I mean, if you think back 15, 20 years ago, people would spend $1,200 on a CD player.
Right.
For a really
It's
high
true.
end. This thing does all of that, plus it does DVD audio, it does SACD, it does your Blu-ray, and it's a great Blu-ray player because it's got that MediaTek platform on it. So it's really, if you're into the high-end market, this is the player to consider. If you don't care about the analog output stuff so much and you're just using HDMI, then I recommend the model below, the UD7007. That has almost all the features as this has. It just doesn't have all the extra audio goodies in it.
Understood. Awesome.
Now, there's another interesting thing. I was looking in the owner's manual, and this has the modern polarity for the balanced outputs. Meanwhile, the Marantz PM11S3 has the reversed older polarity. So if you just plug this in stock into the Marantz player, into the Marantz integrated amp, it actually inverts the polarity of the audio. Not that it's a big deal, it's just funny that they're not 100% compatible like that, because their old preamp is still using the old balance scheme. But there is a phase inversion feature on this player, so if you do have that product, I recommend you just switch it to reverse, and then you'll be good to go.
Ah, that's a great tip.
Yeah.
Interesting. Cool. Is there anything else you would like to add? It sounds to me like this is a really, really good product.
It is nice. I mean, it's got the standard streaming stuff. It does your Netflix. It does YouTube. The interface is pretty speedy. And I was testing YouTube the other day, and it does all the stuff that a smart TV would do. If you don't have a smart TV, don't waste your money on upgrading your TV. Just get this player and do it inside the player itself.
Awesome.
So this is a great alternative if you don't want the Oppo for whatever reason. This is a great product that's an alternative to it. And it's simple to use. The navigation's easy. It's easy to set up, and it's got great video and great audio performance as well.
A pretty good price too.
Yeah, it's very reasonable considering the build quality, the analog output, and everything. Yeah.
I mean, a smart TV these days, what does it run these days? You know, it's gonna run you more than this.
Oh, a lot more. Yeah.
So it's like, there you go. Awesome. Well, thank you, Gene, for the awesome review of this over here. And I want to invite everybody also to visit our website, audioholics.com, where we have tons of more reviews and also myth-busting articles as well. And if you sign up to our free newsletter, which we send out at least once a week, you also get our top 2014 AV guide. Could you fill people in on what the AV guide is, Gene?
Yeah, Hugo, thank you. Basically what we do is every year we pick out the products that really stand out in the market, stuff that we've reviewed or we have first-hand experience with. And we put together a very concise, printable guide that has, the best in receivers or the best value or best performance, subwoofers, speakers, Blu-ray players.
You name it.
You name it, it's in there. It's a great guide for consumers to print out and
take it to the store.
Right.
Right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for listening to us. Please feel free to hit the thumbs up button below if you really like this video. Share it with your friends, and also let us know what you think. Comment away. Okay? Until next time, keep listening.